We'll call this Enterprise Planning Commission meeting for August the 23rd, 2022 to order at this time. Welcome everyone to the meeting. I'm glad you could attend today. When we get to your requests, you're not required to stay to the meeting to the end, but you're surely welcome to do so. And also when we get to your requests and you come forward and you'd like to speak, if you give us your full name, please, either the business or your home address, and we'd appreciate it. Okay, with that said, please note that all commission members are present except Mr. Bobby Hancock. Okay. Commission, you received the minutes from our last meeting. I'll take a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Yes. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the July 26, 2022 meeting. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Adopted. Thank you. Okay. We have one old business. If the staff wanted to speak on that.
Commission, for you see that we have an agenda item to approve a site plan for a new restaurant located in the Enterprise Shopping Center on Boweville Circle. They have contacted me to ask that we again table that request until the next meeting. So we're looking for a motion to table that request until the September meeting. Okay,
Commission, you've heard the request from Mr. Hardy. I'll take a motion in a second to table our first old business at this time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table the request by Honor Realty Management for site plan approval for a new restaurant located in the Enterprise Shopping Center. Is there any question? All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Next, we have new business, and we have a request by Reeves Engineering and Construction, LLC, on behalf of Lonsco Incorporation for the rezone of 72 acres of land from R100 Residential District and Agriculture 2 Agriculture District, as shown on Map A present, to R65 Residential District, as shown on Map B, proposed located at 1607 West College Street. We'll have the staff come up and give us some information on that, and we have the request to come up. But also, if we have anyone that would want to come up during the public comment, if you would come up and give us your full name and address at that time, and we have 3 minutes to speak to the commission. Thank you. Mr. Hardy?
Commission, what you see before you, we have the rezoning at 1607 West College Street. I'm just going to go to the next slide, Barry. As you can see on the presentation, on the left side, you have the rezone map A present. That is the current zoning of the property. As you can see, it is an R100 Agriculture 2 mixed zone of the property. Let Mr. Mont move that for a second. Okay. All right. So as you can see on the on your right side, you can see that a rezone map B proposed. That is what they're proposing to rezone the property from. So that's going to be to R65. That's going to be 72 acres that they're going to take from R100 and Agriculture 2 to R65. Can you go to the next slide, Barry? As you can see on this map, this is our current zoning map. You can see the surrounding zoning areas around the parcel. The parcel in question is off of Pistol Drive, that R100 area and the Agriculture 2 area. Towards the bottom of it, you can see that there's an R75A, which is apartments within or high density dwellings within our municipal code. Towards the top of it, you can see that there's R65 dwellings on Tartan Way, I believe is the street. And then over to the left of the development, you can see there's R65 off of West College Street as well. Can you go to the next slide, Barry? This is an overhead shot of the development, just to kind of give you a better idea of where we're looking at. This development would come off of Pistol Drive and College Street would be the frontage of the development. It has direct access over to Boweville Circle. That's close to the airport, just kind of give you some context of where what we're looking at.
Mhm.
So staff findings of this property, I'll reiterate again, this property is 72 acres and is requested to be rezoned from R100 and Agriculture 2 to R65. Staff finds the zoning to be aligned with the comprehensive plan for the City of Enterprise, and staff finds the zoning around the proposed rezoning to be R100, R75S, and Agriculture 2, thus continuous for residential use.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hardy.
Yes, sir.
At this time, we'll have the requester to come up and give us some information on their request, if you would, at this time, please.
Yes, thank you.
Ron Reeves, Reeves Engineering. The property we're talking about, when we first went out there and kind of looked at it, we had staff come out there and look at it with us and kind of got some information on where the sewer ties in, and you got the treatment plant down there at the end of Pistol Drive. And there's an outfall line that kind of comes from downtown and kind of ties in, which on the south side of this property, down in toward the bottom, away from College Street, where we would tie into the main sanitary sewer. This will probably be done over probably a 10-year development, and it'll be, probably 150 lots plus. And in talking with the staff, Pistol Drive is a little bit narrow, and that many lots, staff would prefer to see at least a minimum of 2 exits. The more the better, but they would like a minimum of 2. And looking at the property and kind of, we're not really at the point we've got preliminary plat done, but we have had some conversations with staff, and we would primarily plan on making our major entrance and exit off of College Street, and there where an existing house is now, we would put the driveway. It's about a 200-foot wide lot. We would put the road coming into the development where that existing house is now, approximately center of the driveway, and we try to landscape it really nicely and put a nice divided entrance and because there's 2 houses existing on either side, and try to give them as much buffer as we could, because that would create a little bit of disturbance for them, but that would be our best 2 spots to come in, especially with Pistol Drive being a little narrower than 30 foot back of curb to back of curb currently, and that'd give us 2 entrance and exit points.
Okay. Commissioner, do you have any questions for Mr. Reeves at this time? Or, no? If not, we can come back.
I just want to plant a bug, sidewalks. You're going to hear me say it. I know it's not time for it because it's rezoning,
Okay.
but I'm saying it early, okay?
Sure.
So when you go to plat, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. At this time, we'll open the floor for public comments. As I stated, if you would please come up to the mic, and if you give us your full name and your home address, we would appreciate it. So to have public comment at this time.
Yeah, my name's John Popovich. I'm at 1750 Pistol Drive, across the road of Pistol Drive. If you can go back to the slide that shows the old and the new. So I've got a little bit of property on that side of Pistol Drive that you're rezoning. I would just like mine to stay agriculture. It's a small plot of land, but
Okay, so these maps are produced for us, and so that's going to be an error right there. We'll make sure to go ahead and get that amended off of there. Your land will not be affected whatsoever. So,
Thank you for coming, sir. We do appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time. The floor is still open for public comment at this time. Thank you too, Mr. Hardy. We appreciate it. If not, we'll close the public comment. Go ahead.
I'm coming to give public comment from someone that called our office. I had a couple people that reached out to me yesterday, and they said they may come to the meeting, but if not, if I would speak up on their behalf. And they're not against the development per se, but they have 2 concerns that they wanted to make sure that was heard. And I will note before I tell you this, that what we're here today for at this step of the process is rezoning, right? Rezoning it from R100 and agriculture to R65. The next step would be, of course, preliminary plat. The developer would come forward with a preliminary plat and showing what the development would look like, access points, staff would look at that and determine if that makes sense. And then the next step would be construction plans, of course. But at this point, they want to make sure at this point in the step of going through rezoning, they wanted to express a couple of concerns to you, and I just wanted to voice those on their behalf today. One being the parcel, the little notch, the little red notch that's right here. Their concern was two things. One, that's a current R100 lot, and they were concerned that if that turns into R65, as that goes forward with development, of having multiple houses put in the place of that one home that's there now would be a concern. The second would be is if there's an access road put in through that portion of the property, they're concerned about an access road being adjacent to the houses to the left and to the right of that house as well. I'll let them know about the process that today, at this juncture, what we're looking at is rezone, and we'll have a chance to address that when we get to the preliminary plat and construction drawing phase. However, they did want me to voice that concern to you today at the rezone stage. So I just want to make sure that I let their voice be heard because they could not be here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mott, for coming to bring that for the public. Any questions?
Question for Barry. So the little plot, I mean, if we do the whole thing R65, or if they change the interest, not saying they would, technically they could start building R65 homes once we approve the zoning change. Is there a reason why we could just leave it R100 and zone where the development's going to be R65?
Well, they can't start building any homes until they go through the preliminary plat stage.
Sure.
Well, of course, this is a recommendation for rezone. Then this, of course, will go to City Council. City Council will read it and then have a public hearing and then actually rezone. Then we'll have preliminary plat and then construction drawings. So they can't start building just because you recommend tonight to go.
Yeah, obviously, but it would give them the opportunity that would be zoned that where both houses, like everything's continuous R100 on that road, and now we're going to break it in half and make it R65. Could it not just, it's going to be an entrance anyway, does it matter what that's zoned in? For the city engineering point, does it matter what that zone is to create an entrance?
No, from staff's position was that's all one parcel. So the fact that they're asking for that entire parcel to be R65 is not out of the ordinary. Thomas, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's all one parcel. So the fact they're taking that whole R100 parcel to R65 is not out of the ordinary. However, when it comes to preliminary plat, we would look at, buffers and distances and what could be put there and to look at that actual piece of land that's there at that point. But could it be left at R100? It could. Can it go forward as it is? It can. It's really up to your decision. Yes, sir.
Any other question for Mr. Mott?
So if they came back and they changed that, then we could say, step back and say no if they're building two houses there on an R65 lot.
Do you want to address?
Sure. On this little key part we're talking about here, which is the main part, we would agree right now with the zoning that when we bring a preliminary plat before you, we will not show any houses on College Street in that little key part that's right next to, in line with the R100 houses that are there now. All we would do is put a road down the middle, landscape it nicely on each side, as close as we can to the middle. I'm not going to say it's going to be dead middle 100%. It may be shaded 25 foot one way or the other. But right here at this narrowest point, I believe this is 200 feet wide from here to here. So it's obviously wider here. So if we put a 50-foot road approximately in the middle, that would leave a 50-foot buffer on either side of the residential houses. And there's already a pretty good tree line there, and we would be willing to plant some landscaping stuff there. And I've talked to Mr. Gay about that a little bit briefly in that, because he was concerned as well, because he said he wanted to do what's right for the community and didn't want to make people's property value go down. And he understood they may want a little buffer there. The smaller houses being right next to you, R100, with those being R100 that are on the south side of College Street. Now, bear in mind, Rosemont Court across the road is R65. They're part of Tartan Pines, dead across the road. Mm-hmm. But we do not have any problem going on record that we will not build any R65 houses or R100 houses. We will not have a house at all, just a road going down through the middle with a nice sign in a divided median. There's landscape well, probably some signs in the middle and some landscaping on each side as we go in. And then once you get into there past where that opening is, we'll open it up and we'll have houses start there. You know, obviously we'll come to an intersection, but we don't mind going on record saying that.
So would it cause you all any problem, or would you have to create any more financial hardship if you all decided just to let it stay R100 and do what you said you all plan on doing? And I know you said for the record it would definitely not be any houses there, but just asking on the other side, if you could just let it stay R100, would that create any?
I don't see as to where it would, other than it just, you know, a lot of times for us, when we get a boundary from the, you know, on a piece of property, and I'm just saying from the engineering it, from the city side, it's easier to get one whole boundary of the whole thing, and we usually don't get a piece broke out like that small piece and leave it all 100. But as far as affecting us to put a road in, I don't see that mattering either way to us. I mean, that doesn't necessarily wouldn't affect us. We can still put a road through R100.
Okay. Commission, you have any other questions?
So, excuse me, so was the concern that they might build there?
That's what the question was.
And so if it is R100, it could still be an R100 home. So.
Yeah, what his concern was and what I think what Mr. Mott, what he received was being thinking that you know, have different size houses in
Sure.
in that little small area.
Right.
That's what it was. Would that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's going to be your major access road right now.
That's correct.
So nothing's going to be built there.
Well,
My
if
impression.
you look at it prospectively, it's roughly 200 feet wide. Okay.
Right.
An R65 foot lot has to be 65 feet
Right.
at the minimum building line.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be considered a corner lot, so you have to do the setback, which is, I believe, it's 25 feet on the front yard. In that, which really means that corner lot, if we try to do R65 facing College Street, that lot would have to be at least 90 feet wide.
Right.
So 90 and 90 is 180, and then we got a 50-foot road in the middle, is 230. I mean, we don't really have enough room to do that and be able to get a legal lot on either side, either way. Now, we could shade it to one side and push it to one side, but
My point is, my point is that it's going to be down the middle. Now that gives you a better buffer on both sides for the houses on both sides.
you are correct. You're correct. And it will be closely as we can get the center. If we can get it, it'll be center. Now, to say it's going to be dead right, straight as an arrow down the center, it'll probably be a little off, 25 feet either way, but it'll be close.
Okay. Is there another question?
Just working on the geometry of the road and how when we get out there on College to see sight distance, you know, we might need to meet with Barry and Thomas and just look and see if it needs to shift 25 feet to have a little bit more sight distance to make it safer for somebody to make a left turn out, a right turn, or a left turn into it, as far as to be safe for the people that live there.
Okay. All right. Thank you again, Mr. Reeves, for that explanation. Mr. Hardy.
So I just want to go ahead and just kind of reiterate the process of what we're here to do today. We are here today to just simply change the zoning, or to give a recommendation to change the zoning from the R100 Agriculture 2 to R65. So any of the development plans, any of the interests, any of that kind of stuff, that will be handled at a later date. But so today we're just here to make a recommendation to either approve or to disapprove the zoning, and then that would go to the city council for ultimate approval. What I would ask the commission to do is, whether if you vote to approve it or vote to disapprove it, that you do that with the contingency that the map will be amended in that little corner section of Mr. Popovich's property to not be rezoned. That way, that gives us an official decision to be able to amend that map when we take it to the city council.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure the commission understood that for the rezone, but the question was, you know, whether that would be able to happen.
Yes, sir.
And that was because it was concern of the citizen and a concern of the commission. So
Yes, sir.
we appreciate. Also, with that being Pistol Road, and we have the police firing range down there, is there any concern with that?
I spoke to Chief Moore about that issue. He said that he did not foresee any type of issue with it because of the way they fire would not fire towards the development itself, and they're pretty good bit way off the road. They said the only thing they could possibly foresee is maybe some noise complaints when it is range day, but besides that, no issue to life safety or anything like that because of it.
Thank you.
Sir.
Okay, so at this time, the public comment section is closed. Commission, do y'all have any other questions? Okay. Well, if there's no other comments, I will accept a motion to approve the request for rezone of 72 acres of land from R100 residential and R2 as shown on map A, present R65 to R65 residential as shown on map B, proposed located at 1607 West with the contingency for removal of the little small section as stated by Mr. Hardy. I'll accept a motion in a second to approve or disapprove.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the request. All in, is there any question? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. Any objection? Passes this time. Okay. Is there any other thing for the commission? Commission, do y'all have anything? Well, if not, I'll accept the motion to adjourn the meeting at this time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. Thank you very much. And thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it. Thank you for the question. Yeah. I know we realize it seemed like it could happen and you don't